Good morning, everyone. Today is April 16th. It is Thursday. Today we are going to be working on multiplying radical expressions. You've already added and subtracted and just played around a little bit with simplifying them. So today we're going to learn about multiplying. You have your 3 success criterias, our agenda, and your supplies that you need for today. All right, here is your meme of the day. Accidentally eats fruit seed. Friend, oh my God, what's gonna grow in your stomach? Yes, I totally thought about this when I was a kid. All right. So we're gonna start today on page 307. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you how to multiply these radicals. So as you can see, the first step is so they want the square root of 4 times the square root of 9. Well, that is the same as 2 times 3, which equals 6. So it's really that simple. So again, let's rewrite these two values that they want us to be using. So square root of 10, square root of 100 is 10 times 5 is 50. And again, we leave it. And I bet you couldn't guess, but yep, square root of 9 times the square root of 16 sure is 3 times 4, which is 12. So that's the basics of that. Okay, they're all not going to turn out this nice, though. So let's see what else we have in store for ourselves here. So this is the second part of page 307. This is part C. So this time we have square root of 3 times square root of 5. Well, neither one of those is a perfect square, so we can just multiply the numbers underneath the radicals, and you have square root of 15 is your answer. That's irrational, so we can just leave it. There's no perfect squares we can pull out of it, so again, we leave it. Now this one, on the other hand, so square root of 7 times square root of 8 equals the square root of 56. Well, I can pull out a perfect square out of 56. So this is going to be the same as square root of 4 times 14, because 4 times 14 is 56. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 14 is irrational, so we leave it, and you're finished. Again, make sure that you pause, go back, rewind, all that good stuff, so you guys can make sure you have the best notes possible. All right. So this first one here, again on page 307, is we have 2 times the square root of 4, which is 2, times the square root of 9, which is 3. So our answer here is pretty basic. It's just 12. Okay, same thing for the next one. It's super basic. So we have 3 times the square root of 4, which is 2, times 5 times the square root of 16, which is 4. And when you multiply all those together, you get 120. All right, so this last one is a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to clear the screen here so I can use as much room as I need. All right, so this one I have 7 and 14 are both irrational. So I can't pull out a perfect square. But I can, however, do 2 times 3 times square root of 7 times square root of 14, which gives me 6 square root of 98. Well, 98 has a perfect square in it that I can pull out for sure. 98 divided by 49 is 2. 49 being that perfect square. So we have 6 times the square root of 49 times 2, which we know is 6 times 7 times the square root of 2. So our final answer is 42 square root of 2 for that one. So these can become more difficult, but it's nothing that you guys can't handle. All right, so let's continue on here with our lesson. So now we're on page 308. I'm not going to go through much of this. Again, these are examples that you can follow yourself. Example C is one with some variables in there, and we'll also do a couple practice problems like that. All right, so now that we've looked at that example, let's go ahead and start some of these. Try these on page 308. So, again, this is not a perfect square, and this is not a perfect square. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the like terms. So I have 2 times 5 gives me 10. And I have 10 times 3, which gives me the square root of 30. I cannot pull a perfect square out of this, so we're done. That's our answer. Pretty simple. All right, over here, however, I can pull a perfect square out of 8, okay, but I cannot out of 6. So this is 3 times the square root of 4 times 2 times 2 square root of 6. So this is 3 times 2, since that's the square root of 4, times square root of 2, times 2 square root of 6. Leaves me with 6 square root of 2 times 2 square root of 6. That's kind of funny there. So from there, we can go ahead and multiply our like terms here. So we have 6 and 2 is 12. Square root of 6 and 2, which is 12. All right, so let's continue. As you can see, this 12 still, you can pull out a perfect square. So we're going to do 12 square root of 4 times 3, which is the same as 12 times 2 times the square root of 3, which finally gives us 24 square root of 3 as our answer. So some of these might take longer than others, but just keep on following your notes and write things down, and I know you guys will be successful. All right, so let's continue on here. So we're continuing to be on page 308. These are our last two examples we're going to be working on today. So I can pull a perfect square out of 12, and I can pull a perfect square out of 18. So I'm going to simplify this before I actually multiply. So I have 4 times the square root of 4 times 3 times 5 square root of 9 times 2. So this is 4 times 2 square root of 3 times 5 times 3 square root of 2. 8 square root of 3 times 15 square root of 2. Finally leaves us with, we can't pull any more perfect squares out, so we will multiply our like terms. So 8 times 15 is 120, and 3 times 2 is the square root of 6. And that's our answer. Okay, so we finally have one that has some variables in it over off to the side here. So this is 5 and 15. I cannot pull a perfect square out of either of those. So I am just going to go ahead and multiply my like terms. So 3 times 2 is 6a, and 5 times 15 is 75. And when the bases are multiplying, I add those exponents. You got to go back to those exponent rules. So that's a to the third. Now I know that 15 is a perfect, or 75 has a perfect square. So I can rewrite it. 6a 25 times 3 times a squared. I separated those out because this one's a perfect square and this is a perfect square. So that'll leave us with 6a times 5 times a square root of 3a. So those two are not perfect squares, so they just stay there. And then we can multiply everything. So we have 30. And then a times a is not 2a. That's a plus a. A times a is a squared, square root of 3a. And that is our final answer. All right. So that's the end of our lesson today. I am going to tell you about your assignments today. So you watched this lesson and took notes in your Springboard book. Today you have 2 videos to watch. So once you watch those, you can put a check. And then you have 1 IXL lesson to do up to 80% or higher. Okay. Also, make sure that you are contacting me if you need me. I'm available from 8 to 3 p.m. after every day. Anything after 3, just shoot me a message and I'll get on and help you. I miss you guys. Hope you have a great day. Love you. Bye.